Okay, let's talk about games people play.
That's what he wore that day.
Now, one of the things I heard
Next
was this is
exhibit
purchased
is
after
267.
2017.
And
Now, how do
this
you know
is
that's
the
his? Could have been his
six-hour
wife's
handgun.
coat.
It was found in the nightstand next to Alan's
That's
bed. On
the
his
Blazer.
side.
That's
How did they know
brass
that?
on copper.
Well, apparently they saw what he was wearing at CVS
6 Hour
on
226.
that side of the bed. So you're looking at it here
Sig
on
arms.
top of the bed with a bullet next to
Sig
it.
Arms, so I'd have to actually look
And
at that.
the next
Sig
exhibit
Arms
is
was
the
a
140
later.
caliber Smith & Wesson unspent round.
Anyway.
It was found in what Detective Vito describes. You're looking at
Here
it
you go.
here.
Now, I want to show you something here.
In Richard Allen's bedroom.
That is a black
There's
Talon
memory
round.
box,
That's law
keepsake
enforcement only.
box, and if you
6
look close,
pedals.
you see it.
There you go again.
Saying
6
it
pedals
matched the
with the
bullet,
rounded pedals on the
same
tip.
type of bullet
That is a
that
black
was
Talon
found
round. That's law enforcement
scene.
only. And you see this dent right here?
Exhibit. This brought me back
See if I
to
can back that
press
up.
conference, April 2019, where we didn't know what was going to happen before.
Oh, quiet lady. A lot of these people, they just talk. They don't know what the heck they're looking at. They don't know what they're
And if
talking
you
about.
look close, you see,
See
it
this dent right here?
saying it matched
That's from
the
a finger
bullet, the
that
same
put the
type
bullet
of
there.
bullet
See
that
how
was
it's leaned?
found
See
at
how
the
it's leaned
scene.
up like that?
And the next exhibit, this
You
brought
bump
me
that
back
box, it's gonna
to
fall
that
over.
press conference,
Now,
April
here's a photograph of
2019, where
her.
we didn't know what was going
There's no
to
bridge
happen
guy behind
before,
her.
but we saw a picture of Abby, a picture of Libby, a picture was covered,
And that's a separate subject, to
and it was
study the
revealed it
bridge.
was a picture of the bridge.
One of the
going
things
on
I was
that
gonna
bridge.
do for
So looking at
Mr.
this
Baldwin
was it an album?
was actually make a
Is that
scale
strange? That's
model,
what the defense was arguing.
of that area.
For someone who lived in that town?
but never happened
No.
before
No,
we
think
went
about
to-
how small of a town
everything
Delphi
went to
is, of
court.
course.
And
That
like I
was a
said
place
before,
where
I
people
reached
went.
out to these
There were
guys back in
trails, and that is a picture of the
almost
bridge. It
last
says,
year, almost a year
"Views
ago.
of the
Nobody
old
ever got
Road
back to me.
Bridge off the
I
Myrtle
already
Bridge
tested that
Trail,
ammunition
taken
and know it was
Delphi,
a
Indiana,
flat out
April
lie,
5th,
what they were
2008.
saying. Nobody ever got back
And there are
with me.
close-up pictures of that.
And I'm not in the
took that.
point at that time
Now,
to chase it
with
down.
that gun
Now,
that you're seeing on the bench
this
here,
right
one of
here
the
you can
exhibits,
barely see.
in court on that day, again, day
That
6
is a
of the
Generation
state,
3
Jerry Holmes
firearm.
walked up to the jurors.
So we
holding
find out when a
that
Generation
gun,
3
showing them
started
up
being
close.
made.
It was strange
Generation
to
2
And in the beginning of
started
the
being
day,
made after
they played
1990.
what was on Libby's phone.
And
They played it several
it was
times
stamped
throughout the
Sig
trial.
Sauer. And you saw on the other
It became
side,
apparent and clear
there.
what the state was trying
That
to do.
is a
Establish
black
that
Talon
this
round.
is what happened.
Doesn't have the
This
black
is how the girls
coating
felt
on
the
it.
bridge that day.
That is a law
Richard
enforcement
Allen's
round.
bridge guy, if you
That's
think
only
about
sold
that
to law
interview,
enforcement.
What he said he was wearing.
So you
he put
find
himself at
a
the bridge at
pristine
that time.
law enforcement only round on the scene.
Signature, that's it, yeah.
Stuff it. I don't want to see you. You find a pristine law enforcement only round on a crime scene. That shows you it got ejected from a firearm from a law enforcement officer at the time they discovered the bodies, because if it had sat in the mud any more than 3 hours, it would have started to discolor. The nickel plating would have started to discolor. And the CSI said, no, this is pristine, just like it came out of a box. Didn't even have mud on it. Didn't have mud in it. So, yeah. Go figure that one out, Batman. Go and riddle me that. Then you find, magically, he has one in a keepsake box. And you see that little black piece that was in there. It looks like maybe it was a glove or something like that. And you can see where somebody's finger has pushed that in a little bit, where they put the bullet in there. It's leaned up against the side. You bump that box at all, it's going to fall over. And of course we have to deal with their stupid ads. Stupid stuff I'd never buy. And I won't buy it.
Changed a bit, though. I do want to point out. Initially, Dan.
And he's
Newman,
showing him
who
the
moved
picture.
it,
That's
couple
your
days
bullet,
after the
and that
murders of
matches
Abby
your
and Libby,
firearm.
he said he was
And we
there
know
noon
for a
to
fact that
1:30.
it doesn't, because
Well, on
even
this day, he
CSI
changed
Tech
that. He
says
said
this.
1:30
Now, look at this
to
vehicle.
3:30.
That roof is
So when
flat.
Lieutenant Holman held up that gun to
Flat.
the jurors, I thought.
See
back
how
to,
this says
is that
Sig
what they
Arms?
saw? Is that what they were thinking?
This is a
What did they
later
think?
date, and I'll
What
find
we
the
learned
date
after
on it.
that
Plus,
interview
it's
with
stainless.
Liggett,
So I'm not sure if
we
that
kind
was
of
the Elite
understood
Series
more.
or one of the other
Again,
ones.
as I said,
That's
it
an
started
expensive
out very
firearm.
friendly and did not
But
so friendly.
Sig Sauer
They drove Richard Allen to his
was
home
Swiss,
on Whiteman Drive.
bought
Then
Sauer,
they get a search warrant and go back in.
moved manufacturing to
Detective
Germany.
Vito is one
Slides
of the
were made in
detectives
Germany. firearms were
searching his
made in
home.
Germany.
And he was on the stand that day.
And then
in court
they went to
Thursday,
second
May
generation
6th,
of that,
describing
made in
what
Germany.
he saw.
Some of the
Talking
very
about
early SIG
more than 25
that were
knives
manufactured in the
found in
80s
home.
actually
Defense Attorney
said
Baldwin said
West
that's normal
Germany
when
on
he
them.
cross-examined.
It was the later
for
ones that said
area, and
made
if
in
someone's
Germany.
into fishing or hunting or what
And
have you. And the pictures
That
of
was
Richard Allen
after the Iron Curtain fell,
and how he went
after
to
the
bridge.
wall,
They were
Berlin Wall came
establishing.
down.
He went to the
And it
bridge.
was the end of
He
the
told us He was on
USSR.
the bridge that day.
So now you have the Russian Federation, you no
course,
longer have,
His car in the garage,
USSR.
that vehicle, which they believe
right, that doesn't have
is what
hubcaps.
he drove on that day, that he admitted to driving to
Right.
the bridge.
And if you
Now
look at
let's
the
go to
video of
Exhibit
that car, that roof
249
line is
and
flat.
250, which is
So,
a black Ford
look at the
Focus
roof line of his.
registered
Like I
to
said,
Richard Allen.
starts from the windshield,
At the
goes up to
time
about
of
where the
murders
B
of
pillar
Abby
is,
Mitchell in 2017,
and then it
what
starts
you're
to
looking
slope
at
down.
Is a black Ford Focus
Starts to
inside
slope down.
of his garage in Whiteman
The
Drive.
car on the video
Now, if
is
you go back
basically
to that same day
flat.
of the search, the same day they got the
And
search
you
warrant,
have spoked
and
rims,
you go back to the interview,
aluminum
with
rims,
Mullen,
because that's the
with
way they
Liggett,
come from the
they
factory.
talk about the car, and Richard
So
Allen
to
says,
say that
"So
we
what if
saw
that's my car?
daylight
What if it
coming
is?
through the
You
rims
will
when it was
find
parked,
nothing
yeah, so
that
would a
attaches me to
Toyota, a
those
Mazda,
murders," I'm paraphrasing. But he seemed
Honda,
to get angry.
anything
He
else.
said that this has shifted in some way. He can sense it's
So-
not going the way he wanted it to. And we don't have all of the exhibits. We do know that there were several guns and knives found in that home. Also a basket.
Yeah, whoopee-doo. That's not a crime.
Kind of something you throw your
That's not a crime.
keys in,
It's a
like
crime to use a
catch-all.
gun, but
In there was a
against
box
another
cutter,
person, but
name tag, Richard Allen,
you can have
CBS,
100 guns in your
some
home.
keys.
That's not a
Is that
crime.
typical of someone who would be into
That's
hunting,
not a
be
crime.
into fishing? That's what the defense said. The jury thought that that was not the case.
This
when
proves
weighing
nothing.
all the evidence. But
This is a
again,
picture of
day was
landscape. That
big,
proves
it was
nothing.
Huge. And
And then when you look
Lieutenant
at Bridge
Holmes,
Guy
he
walking
was
on the
there as
bridge,
well.
that proves
he
nothing.
was outside in his car, and at one point, Richard Allen was in the vehicle with him. And he said, "Look, I just want to let you know if they do any damage."
The only thing that you can say factually about Bridge Guy from the very beginning is it's a video of a guy walking on a bridge. That's it. That's it. And the girls, they keep saying, oh, these girls, they had the presence of mind to video. No. She was videoing Abby walking across the bridge toward her, and as you know, is when Abby gets closer, she turns around, turns her back. So she's not concerned with this guy on the bridge at all. The only thing factually you can say about this guy is this is a guy walking on a bridge. So as law enforcement, you can come out and say, yeah, we're trying to locate this guy because maybe he has some information. If anybody knows, if that was you on the bridge, come and talk to us because we're trying to see, we're trying to locate. We're trying to find out. But all you can say, but from day one, we think this is the suspect. And then what do you hear on all the YouTubes and other stuff? Killer's voice. We got the killer's voice. We got the killer's voice. We got the killer's voice. No, you don't. No, you don't. And then when they finally show the 43-second, 48-second, I heard somebody last night said 48 seconds, so whatever it was. I didn't time it. And he says, guys, down the hill or something like that. He's not commanding them, go down the hill, get down the hill. No. No. That was enhanced to make it sound that way. To make it sound that way. So that was a little snippet out of a video that was enhanced and put on a loop so it made look like he was chasing the girls. You have two people on a bridge on a nature trail that the city put there for people to use the nature trail. But somehow, being on the nature trail, that's unusual. That's nefarious, and you're probably a criminal. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. A photograph of his house in the rain. You can see the water on the pavement, on the concrete. Totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant to anything. And Bridge Guy, factually, you have a guy walking on a bridge. That's all you have. But what you can do with that is look at attributes. Look at how he jerks the right leg up because it appears that he has an older knee injury and he casts it forward. Drops it over the center line, not to where it normally should be, and he's looking down. Has a side-to-side walk and he's looking down. Ron Logan going into the facility when he was probation violation, guess what? He's in an orange jumpsuit. He's got a side-to-side motion to his walk, and he's looking down. Richard Allen, conversely, is walking downstairs, and his eyes are forward. His head is up, his eyes are forward. He's walking normally. Bridge guy does not walk normally. Richard Allen does. And then now you can look at the bridge. Oh, we can't figure out how tall bridge guy was. Well, then you're a moron. You are an abject moron. Because I'll show you something here. Okay. Go back to the bridge. Hello. There we go.
Bells, and that is the picture of the bridge.
Yeah, it's a picture
It
of bridge.
says,
I got that.
Views of
Okay. The track gauge. Let's see how we do this. Get back here. But the track gauge for the Monon line, you're going back to the 1870s, 1890s, whatever it was, is 4'9.5". This is where the plates used to be. So the center of the plate is where the rail was. So you can take this, put an X through it, find the center. Real simple to do. Then you go over here, put an X through this, find the center. From here to here is 4'9.5". That's your gauge. That's your gauge. And now from that, you can look at the photograph, and you have a bit of perspective that you have to deal with, because the way you're looking at it, you have to calculate some of that in there.
No, think about how small of a town Delta.
Okay. So, this is where the plates were that held the rails. Originally I was thinking this, but this is bolt heads, and I was wondering why you got this pattern, because that's not a correct pattern for rails. And that's just this piece here. That's just holding this piece on. Okay, so this is part of the original lumber from the manufacturer of the bridge, or maybe repairs, maintenance later on. But these are where your track plates were, and your track is in the center. So from here, if you look at this tie, from here to here, 4'9.5". Now, from this dimension, you can get this dimension, and you can get this dimension, and you can add all three. Now you have somebody standing up. Now, you can get that dimension. It's not rocket science, folks. It's not rocket science. And so if you actually wanted to know how tall bridge guy is, don't tell me that you don't have somebody at Purdue or Indiana University down in, Bloomington, Indiana, or Ball State University up in Anderson, Indiana. Is it Anderson? What's the city? Anyway, Ball State University. It's over there by Anderson. You can think of the name of the other town, but I've been there. Used to have a friend that was a judge up by there. A friend that worked at Anderson Hospital. And anyway, long story short, don't tell me you don't have a mathematician, somebody that knows how to do math at Ball State or Indiana University or at Purdue that can figure that out. Because if you understand math, anybody can figure that out. Anybody can figure that out. You need a set of calipers and just do that. I don't know if I saw that, but these are the plates. So center of that plate, center of that plate, center of that plate, center of that plate. You can see where the plates used to be because of these dark places, right? So that's the center. That's where the rail used to be. That's where the rail used to be. And from rail to rail, 4'9.5" is what that was. So 48 plus 9, which would be what, 57? So 57.5 inches. I did that right? And rotate that up. So if somebody's standing here, you can get their height from here to here. There's a little bit of a perspective error, but you can check it if you have known dimensions of this. You can check it, known dimensions, and kind of help get you a little bit of a error percentage. If you know the thickness of this, if you know from here to here, if you know the dimension from here to here. But see, they tore the bridge down.